Moshi Monsters was an online flash game based in the United Kingdom that ran from 2008 to 2019. In the game, you would adopt a monster, go on missions, collect moshlings, play mini-games, and more. It's a game that's very near and dear to my heart, as shown by how many videos I've made about it. While the game was mostly popular in the United Kingdom, it's clear from my voice that, well, I'm American. So while I was a huge Moshi Monsters fan as a kid, I didn't have access to a lot of the merchandise or events that people in the UK did. I was lucky that my parents imported some of the United Kingdom exclusive merch for me, usually from eBay, although it wasn't much. One of the UK exclusive things that always caught my eye was the Moshi Monsters magazine, which I had one issue of, and then traded that issue for a Pokemon card. But did you know that besides the main Moshi Monsters magazine, there was a magazine dedicated to just one specific monster of the game? And it was very clearly inspired by Generation 4 of My Little Pony? Well, that's what this video is all about. Let me introduce you to Poppet magazine and the Poppeteers. Poppet is one of the 5 playable or quote-unquote adoptable monsters from the game. She's a little pink hamster-like creature with a curly tail and blue boots. She was my favorite when I was little, especially after the release of Moshi Monsters the movie. I guess she was really popular after Moshi Monsters the movie, because in 2014, they decided to give her her own brand. Merchandise, apps, and a magazine series, which is what this video is focused on. The series ran for 10 issues and was published by Skyjack Publishing. It focused on girl empowerment and STEM. Around this time, a lot of stuff was coming out focusing on girls in STEM, like Project MC Squared and Goldilocks. They also created 4 new Poppet characters for this series. It's kind of confusing. Poppets are both the species of the character, and the name of the main Poppet is Poppet. Don't think about it too hard. Anyways, Poppet's friends are Zaffy, the computer-savvy one, Twilight Sparkle, Juno, the animal lover and shy one, Fluttershy, Serena, the fashionista one, Rarity, and Lucky, the sporty one, Rainbow Dash. And then there's Poppet, Pinkie Pie. She's the main one. My favorite is Zaffy. She's just like me for real. I mean, look, she even unintentionally looks a lot like my Sona. You know who else was my favorite when I was a kid? Twilight Sparkle. Okay, I'm gonna stop comparing it to My Little Pony right now. I know that's what the title says and the thumbnail says, but I really want to do a deep dive into the magazine itself without going, oh, this was just like My Little Pony every 2 seconds. So we're gonna look at every issue of all the 10 issues of what's on the wiki. Not everything's on the wiki, we're just gonna go through what is on there. Okay. The first issue of the magazine was released on March 27th, 2014. It had 34 pages, but only 11 of them are archived. The cover features Poppet and her 4 friends with the words, "Seriously, Possum." The first section that's archived for this issue is called Seriously Poppet, and it's an article written by Serena, one of Poppet's friends, about Pawberry Crib. Pawberry Crib is the name of the place where the Poppeteers live and raise baby moshlings. Each Poppeteer has their own house in Pawberry Crib, themed to their interests. They get their moshling eggs from Buster Bumblechops, a very important character to the Moshi Monsters canon. So important that he's still relevant in the current iteration of Moshi Monsters. But that's a video for another day. The next archived section introduces us to the Poppeteers and tells us about their interests and what they do to help the baby moshlings. Lucky is the sporty one, so she teaches moshlings how to run, fly, bounce, and pounce. I just realized I didn't explain what a moshling is. Moshlings are like Pokemon. A big part of Moshi Monsters is collecting moshlings. They don't fight like Pokemon, but they're like Pokemon in a collecting aspect. Poppet magazine introduces the concept of baby moshlings, which were never used in the game directly, although there were animations made of them to be used in the game. They were eventually repurposed for Moshi Sleep, but that's a video for another day. Back to how the Poppeteers help the baby Moshlings. Serena is the fashionista, so she teaches the Moshlings about posture, fashion, and imagination. Juno is the nature lover, so she teaches the baby Moshlings about taking care of their world. Zaffy, my favorite, is the tech whiz of the group, so she teaches the baby Moshlings. She only teaches Moshlings that are tech creatures from the Techies group of Moshlings. So I think technically she has the easiest job. Poppet doesn't even teach the baby Moshlings anything. She's just the assigned leader. That doesn't feel fair. The next section that's archived is a story called Lights Out in the Crib. In this short story, there's a power outage while Poppet is trying to put Honey, a Moshling, to sleep. The Poppeteers initially blame Zaffy for blowing out a fuse, but it ends up being Bernie, a dragon Moshling, whose fire blew out the fuse. They also make a joke about a Wi-Fi hotspot. This magazine is so 2014. The next archived section is Zaffy's Tech Squad, where Zaffy asks someone who works in tech about their job. In this issue, she interviews Kate, a developer at Mind Candy. Mind Candy is the company that makes Moshi Monsters. She's a front-end developer, so a lot of the work she does is behind-the-scenes stuff to make Moshi games work. She wanted to get into the tech industry when she was 8 years old and started programming when she was 12. Her favorite thing about the industry is the people, and her advice to anyone who wants to get into the industry is to just go for it. That's my advice for anyone who wants to get into animation as well. Just go for it. Even if you're not great at first, everyone starts somewhere. The next archived section is a game about how basic coding works. You have to guide Poppet to the baby Moshlings in 6 lines of code, using 3 basic commands. The final page of this issue that's archived is an ad for new Moshi Monsters plushies. A lot of the magazines end with an ad, so this is the only time I'll be mentioning them in this video, just for the sake of time. Issue number 2's cover features Poppet and Serena with the words "The Creative Issue" on the cover, and paint splatters everywhere, along with baby Moshlings. This issue was released on April 24th, 2014. Once again, the whole magazine isn't archived, but I'll share what is archived from the wiki. The first archived section of this one is a map of Monstro City, the place Moshi Monsters takes place. And, oh, that's, okay. Moving on. The map points out some specific places and characters, like the port, which in-game is members only, but would give you free rocks, in-game currency, if you shook the trees there. Also Ula Lane, where it mentions the ice cream game. My highest score is day 38. For characters, we have Buster Bumblechops, who I mentioned before is very important to Moshi Monsters lore, because he's a Moshlingologist, as the movie calls him, or as other Moshi media calls him, a Moshling collector extraordinaire, or something along those lines. Since Moshlings are so important to Moshi as a franchise, that makes Buster important as well. On this page, there's also Elder Furry, the leader of the Super Moshis. Next, we have a story called Serena's Show. Serena is trying to come up with some new outfits while the rest of the Poppeteers are putting the baby Moshlings to sleep, again, like in the last story. I wonder if that'll be a running theme with these. Spoiler alert, it's not. Serena holds a fashion show where she shows off clothes she designed for the baby Moshlings. One weird detail, one of the Moshlings wears a hat with a glump pattern on it. Glumps are evil balls of goo made from Moshlings. Isn't it kind of weird to have what is essentially your evil self on a hat for a baby? I'm trying not to question it too much. Serena's fashion show does well, and she gets compliments from Tyra Fangs, a fashion designer in the Moshi world. Next is what I assume is a pull-out poster of the Poppeteers. It's cute. Definitely would have had this on my wall as a kid. The final archived page of issue 2 is a page dedicated to Lucky. As mentioned before, she's the sporty one of the group, Rainbow Dash. The page was made to give us some extra info about her, like how she's always a good sport, and her moshling bestie is Chop Chop. She also got her name by bumping her head on a horseshoe as a baby, and the bump looked like a 4-leaf clover. How specific? On to the third issue. This issue was released on May 22nd, 2014. The third issue's cover has a jungle theme to the front of it, with Poppet in an explorer outfit, Buster Bumblechops, and Lucky in a jungle with baby moshlings that would fit a jungle setting, like Chop Chop, Jeepers, and Big Bad Bill. The first archived part of this issue is a guide to Pawberry Crib, where the Poppets live. It's said that it's at the heart of Pawberry Hills, which isn't a place specified on the main map of Monstro City from the game, but we can assume from the map in the last issue and Monstro City being mentioned on this page, Pawberry Hills is somewhere in Monstro City at least. First, there's the hatching hut, where moshling eggs are taken care of before they hatch, and kept safe from glumps. Zaffy decked out the hatching hut in tech, so that's cool. Next is the goo pit, which it's exactly what it sounds like. A pit of goo. It's actually a slide to a rainbow-colored goo splat the baby moshlings like to slide down, but still, goo. There's the planting zone, a chill area Juno set up where she's planted some flowers, the climbing frame, which is a very fun-looking obstacle course, and Lucky's high-flying springulator, which is just a swing set, but cooler. Along with all of this, there's a lot of places for the baby moshlings to play and have fun. The next page we have is one all about my favorite puppeteer, Zaffy. From this page, we find out that Poppet and Zaffy have been friends since they were babies, and that they've quote-unquote earned the nickname Zaffet. You can't just make up a nickname that combines the names of two best friends. I know what you are. Zaffy's favorite treat is paw-blended Gumbala Gumbala roasted moshicino, which is probably just a moshi version of a cappuccino. When she isn't coding, she's taking pictures and documenting things around Pawberry Crib. She knows a lot of random trivia, and she likes to doodle new gadgets before bed. She's just like me for real. Then it's time for this issue's story, which is about Baby Bad Bill, the baby version of Big Bad Bill. He's climbed onto the roof of Pawberry Crib and started announcing that he's the king of the jungle. Lucky warns him that he could fall, but he doesn't really care. Poppet is freaking out because there's a baby on the roof. Lucky goes up on the roof to get him without scaring him, but the wind starts picking up. Baby Bad Bill falls, but into the goo pit that was mentioned earlier. The problem now is that Serena is standing right next to the goo pit, and now she's covered in goo, and pretty pissed. Baby Bad Bill is sad that he fell off the roof, but Poppet makes him feel better. Next is a very cute poster of the Poppeteers doing different things with the baby moshlings. Zaffy and Juno are feeding them, Lucky is trying to help Gurgle learn how to fly, Poppet is teaching Whirly and Ecto, and Serena is painting with Fifi, Baby Bad Bill, and Jeepers. There's a page about the Beasties moshlings and the animals they're based on, comparing Bernie to a Komodo dragon, Jeepers to a tiger, Shishi to a panda, and Humphrey to a hippo. And finally, a page of all 5 of the Poppeteers on another poster-like page. Issue 4 is called the Wow issue, so prepare for me to say wow after every archived segment. This issue was released on June 19th, 2014, and the cover features Lucky, Juno, and Poppet placing 2nd, first, and third in a competition of some kind. Poppet also has baby Mr. Snoodle with her. Wow. Next is 2 pages about Poppet's place, her house where she lives in Pawberry Hills. It says she used to live in Monstro City, but since she decided to start taking care of baby moshlings, she decided to move to Pawberry Hills. Mr. Snoodle even has his own swing and, wait, that's not baby Mr. Snoodle, that's adult Mr. Snoodle. Even though we've seen Poppet with baby Mr. Snoodle up until now, all of a sudden this section introduces us to adult Mr. Snoodle, and it's implied to be the Mr. Snoodle from Moshi Monsters the movie? You know what? Don't worry about it. The roof has a Snoodle-o-meter that shows where the next moshling egg is coming from. Zaffy has made the roof cool and techy, and Poppet loves to read letters from her friends and fans. Wow, time for this issue's story, which explains the front cover. The story is called Growing for the Gold, and in it, the Poppeteers decide to participate in a Moshi Grow Fest and Bake competition. Lucky is confident she'll win, because she's the sporty, competitive one. Rainbow Dash. Juno baked a cake and grew some fresh produce. Serena and Poppet baked a cake together. Zaffy attempted to bake bread, but it was too spicy. Don't question it, it's Moshi World logic. Lucky didn't really make anything, just a bowl of pink goop. The competition judge is Mo Yucky, who runs the grocery store in Monstro City. Lucky's pink slop is gross, and Juno's cake wins. Wow. The page dedicated to a Poppeteer this issue is Juno, which makes sense because the story was kind of about her. Kind of. Juno tends to be the fan favorite of the Poppeteers, due to her similarities with Fluttershy from My Little Pony, who was once voted best pony by the fans. She's said to always have her head in the clouds, and is a great cook. She's somewhat of a fortune teller, being able to guess what her friends have in store. Her hair is so soft and cozy that sometimes baby moshlings sleep in it. She loves doing yoga and is quote-unquote one with the Swooniverse. She's also, of course, great at gardening. Wow. Then we have this issue's poster, which has the Poppeteers outside Poppet's house, with Serena on a swing with Fifi, Lucky and Zaffy on the internet with Whirly and Gabby, and Poppet and Juno gardening with Shishi and Sprinkles. Wow. Now a section we haven't had archived from any of the previous issues, Notes from the Crib. This issue's Notes from the Crib is arranged like a blog site. This article on the blog is written by Juno, and it's called Garden Groove. She talks about her garden and some ways she's made it better recently, but also talks about an event called Moshi Fest, where after the Grow and Bake competition, Missy Kicks and Zach Binspin, 2 pop stars in the Moshi world, performed. Not to be confused with the 2013 in-game Moshi Fest event, because this magazine came out in 2014. Poppet and Juno are shown wearing really cute festival outfits. Like the other issues, this one has a separate poster-like page of all the Poppeteers together. This one has a very old-timey style, enhanced by its use of sepia tone. I feel like Lucky's hat sticks out like a sore thumb because I've seen it. It's an in-game item. It's honestly possible that all of their hats are in-game items, but Lucky's really sticks out. There's text at the bottom that reads, "Greetings from Pawberry Hills." This magazine really wants you to know that it was made in the mid-2010s because it has a section called Cringe-tastic Tales, which are little stories that are supposed to make you cringe, I guess. Juno sneezed while doing yoga and ended up flying into some hot silly peppers. Serena forgot her wallet at home while buying new clothes. I should mention this story uses the words epic fail. Zaffy accidentally sent Buster Bumblechops a kiss emoji. Okay, that is pretty cringe, Zaffy. Poppet walked around with icing on her face for a day without noticing, and Lucky accidentally tied her shoes together before a race. Again, very 2014, but 2014 me would have soaked all of this up like a sponge, so Like issue 1's coding puzzle, this issue has a sports theme puzzle in it. First, we have 4 sports items, and we have to name what sport each item is related to. There's a basketball net, a racing flag, a football helmet, and a tennis ball. Next is a puzzle where you have to total up all the points each Poppeteer got from winning a challenge. First place is 3 points, second place is 2 points, and third place is 1 point. Since Juno is the only one on all 3 of the podiums, it's easy to say she probably has the most points. The final section for this issue is called What's New, and we have Lucky and Serena talking about books they've read. Lucky talks about a book called Hattie B, Magical Vet, which is about a girl who takes care of magical creatures, while Serena talks about Maisie May, a book series about a girl who has 5 brothers. Kid me would have loved Hattie B, Magical Vet. I was always into fantasy books, like Rainbow Magic Fairies and some other series I don't remember the name of. Issue 5, we're halfway through. Issue 5 was released on July 17th, 2014. A funny story about the cover of this issue is that when I was 9 or 10 years old, I did a painting that was inspired by this cover. The cover features a bunch of baby moshlings on puzzle pieces forming a puzzle. Continuing the theme of the first pages exploring a place, Pawberry Crib, Monstro City, Poppet's Place, we now have a look at where Serena lives. Being the fashionista that she is, her home reflects that with a lot of glitter and sparkles. She also has a ton of beanbags and pillows on the floor to lounge around on. Of course, Serena has a special closet for all her custom clothes she's made herself. Her house is the perfect one for a slumber party, so there's some mentions of that, including a list of 6 things you need for a slumber party. 1. Comfort. 2. Snacks. 3. Magazines, preferably Poppet magazine. 4. Makeovers. 5. A movie, preferably Moshi Monsters the movie. And 6. Spooky stories. Next is the story for this issue called Snoozy Staycation. Poppet is overwhelmed by her work taking care of the baby moshlings, so the other Poppeteers plan a staycation for her. They trick her into thinking there's a moshling outside in the rain to lure her out of the house, but in reality they've transformed Pawberry Crib into a beach paradise. However, turning Pawberry Crib into a vacation spot was a lot of work for the Poppeteers, and now they're resting while Poppet gets to enjoy her vacation. The Poppeteer-specific page for this issue is about Serena. Serena isn't just the group's fashionista, but also the creative one of the group. Her hair smells really good, and baby Iggy likes to chew on it. Her moshling buddy is Fifi, the Oochie Poochie, which makes perfect sense for her. When she isn't outside showing off her fashions, she actually likes to wear comfy pajamas. She loves to experiment with her hair color. In this issue's Tales from the Crib, the page is arranged like an Instagram account with pictures of the Poppeteers doing various things. They call the app Hipstermatic instead of Instagram, so now we know what Instagram is in the Moshi world. First is Poppet sleeping while Zaffy and Serena plan her staycation. Next is Poppet on her staycation, a very aesthetic pic of Juno doing yoga in front of a sunset, and finally, Serena doing acrobatics with her Fifi. Finally, for issue 5, we're ending on cringe-tastic tales. First, we have Buster Bumblechops ripping his pants in public. Next is a baby Jeepers accidentally throwing a pie at Elder Furry. That's not cringe, that's actually incredibly based. If you want context on why, watch my Dr. Strangeglove video. It has the lore. Next, baby Waldo attaching robotic tails to a baby Gabby. Again, not cringe, actually kind of cool. A phone with a tail is cool. Serena's Fifi knocked over a glass of lemonade. It's a dog, it's gonna knock things down. Lucky thought she saw Dr. Strangeglove in Pawberry Crib, but it was actually Zaffy's tail. My two favorite Moshi characters mentioned in the same section. I win. Issue 6. This issue only has 5 pages archived on the wiki, not including the cover. This issue was released on August 14th, 2014. The cover features the Poppeteers baking in the kitchen. Poppet and Juno are both mixing bowls of batter. Zaffy is measuring something, Serena is decorating cupcakes, and Lucky has a plate of cookies. On the fridge, issue 6 is written with magnets. This issue has a 2-page spread all about Poppet, and it's archived as 2 pages on 1 image. None of the previous images have been archived this way. We start with Poppet's childhood. When she was young, she had read about Buster Bumblechops and wanted to be a moshlingologist, just like him. But she realized it was a dangerous profession and decided to dedicate her life to protecting moshlings. She does now get to work with Buster at his moshling sanctuary, and I find it interesting that the page mentions that his sanctuary may have a Glump rehabilitation center? That's something to take into the lore. Huh. The page mentions her music video, I Heart Moshlings, a bop I sang for my 4th grade talent show. It's also mentioned that Poppet has a second song called Dance Like Poppet, but this was never released, and may never have been intended to? We'll never know. Then it tells us about how she met her moshling bestie, Mr. Snoodle, while she was looking for pumpernickels, which happens to be Mr. Snoodle's favorite snack. Mr. Snoodle was trying to learn the doodle, a dance, on his own, when he met Poppet. The two have been inseparable ever since. Finally, Poppet's boots are magic, and with them she can do any dance. I feel like I may have known this before researching this video, but it felt like somewhat new information, so I don't know. The story for this issue is called The Cupcake Caper. This goes perfectly with the front cover theme. This story is about baby Hansel wanting to eat the cupcakes the Poppeteers were making for a bake sale. He ends up eating all the cupcakes, and as his punishment, he has to dance for rocks at the bake sale. Finally, for issue 6, we have a fact file segment on the baby foodie moshlings. We have Cutie Pie, who is fast and friendly, likes hot drinks, and hates silly aprons. Audie, who is sweet and cautious, likes words beginning with O, and hates broccoli. Coolio, who is cool and upbeat, likes crushed nuts, and dislikes the sun. And Hansel, who is disobedient and rascally, likes twisting licorice lassos, and dislikes cheese puffs. Issue 7 was released on September 11th, 2014. Never forget that issue 7 of Poppet magazine was released on September 11th. Sorry, I'm American. Had to do something about 9/11 when the issue came out on 9/11 in 2014. This issue is called the BFF issue. The front cover features a photo of Poppet and Zaffy being really cute together. Along with this, there's a bunch of notes and doodles all over the cover, and a ticket to see Zach Binspin. In this issue, we explore Lucky's Lodge. Lucky has a wall of fame with her medals and trophies on it, and Zaffy had to reinforce the walls so that the heavy medals and trophies wouldn't make them cave in. Lucky sleeps in a hammock, which makes sense. She loves playing basketball and making trick shots, and her house has a trampoline room. Her floors are soft because she's always bouncing around, which means that she's also falling down a lot. This issue's story is called Friendship Flashback and tells the story of how the Poppeteers were formed. I think this story might be the most lore-heavy thing we get in the entire magazine series, because in the game and other Moshi media, we don't see much about monsters going to school. And what we do see in the game is a parody of Harry Potter, and what we see in Moshi Sleep is for much younger kids. For starters, even before reading, we see Poppet and Zaffy in school uniforms. And they're really cute. Of course, since Moshi Monsters is based in the UK, school uniforms are a bigger thing there, so of course it makes sense that they would have uniforms. But as an American, I think it's neat. We also get their school name, Monstro City High School. Zaffy and Poppet head to their classes giggling, but their teacher interrupts them with the announcement that there will be a new student in their class, this being Serena. After butchering Serena's name, she tells Serena to sit next to Zaffy and for Poppet to move next to Katsuma. This breaks Poppet's heart because she doesn't like Katsuma, and she wants to sit with her best friend. After class, Poppet tries to catch up with Zaffy, but Zaffy and Serena are best friends now, and this makes Poppet upset. Eventually, Zaffy communicates to Poppet that she had just made a new friend, and Poppet would always be her number one. So technically it was Zaffy that started the Poppeteers, not Poppet. Next is a fact file page about all of the Poppeteers. We get facts like Lucky is the prankster of the group. Juno is great at keeping secrets. All of the Poppeteers have high-tech friendship bracelets that vibrate if there's any trouble. Each Poppeteer has their own preference of pizza, so they have to get it split 5 ways. Wait, go back? They have friendship bracelets that vibrate if there's trouble? That sounds really cool. They should have expanded on that concept more. Once again, we have a notes from the crib section. This one is once again heavily inspired by Instagram and is titled Moshi Memories. First is a picture of Poppet and Zaffy in school with a filter over it to make it look old, but it really just looks like any picture you would find on Instagram around the time this magazine was coming out. Next is a picture of Zaffy, Poppet, and Juno racing with Mr. Snoodle and Sprinkles cheering them on. Then there's a picture of all the Poppeteers at a sleepover with their cute pajamas on. Finally, there's a picture of Serena with a bucket of paint on her head with baby Ecto and Fifi. And the last page that's archived for this issue is a poster of Zaffy. Issue 8 was released on October 23rd, 2014, and with it being so close to Halloween, it was of course the Halloween-themed issue. This issue's cover had all of the Poppeteers around a campfire in front of a huge tent. They're accompanied by some spooky baby moshlings, like Big Bad Bill, Ecto, and Kissy. The whole vibe of this issue is different, in a good way. Each page has a spooky forest border, as opposed to the white background and white border of the previous issue. The first page is about real-life creepy critters, like the Loch Ness Monster or the Tower of London, which may be haunted. Next is the story for this issue, Campfire Fright Fest. This story is about the Poppeteers going camping and Lucky telling a spooky story. The story is about the Moppeteers, as opposed to the Poppeteers, being dared to go into a haunted house. The story is so scary that when Buster Bumblechops shows up, they think it's the monster from the story. Finally, we have another Notes from the Crib section. This one goes back to the blog post format and is called Spooktacular. It's written by Serena. Serena and the Poppeteers got to go to Simon Growl's Halloween Spooktacular, which is a thing from the game, and it's a super moshi mission, I'm pretty sure. We're gonna not think about that. Serena dressed up as a witch, which is not her best look. Juno got to eat nice food, and Lucky got to bob for apples in front of Zach Binspin. Issue 9 was released on November 20th, 2014. Psych, the only archived part of this issue that's on the wiki is the cover. Wish there was more, but honestly, if all the magazines were fully archived, this video would be 3 times as long as it is. But I wish more of these were archived! We're missing entire sections! Issue 10, The End of Poppet Magazine. This issue was released on December 18th, 2014, and is the only magazine to have every page archived, all 51 of them. However, this also includes ads for new movies coming out around that time that were put into the magazine. So just for the sake of time, I won't be covering the pages that don't focus on the Poppeteers. Sorry, Union J, whoever you are, I don't want to talk about you. Though it is funny to note that Taylor Swift's 1989 album is mentioned in this issue, and Poppet is confirmed to be a Swiftie. The cover of this issue features all of the Poppeteers playing in the snow with wintry outfits on. Juno and Serena are building snow moshlings of Iggy, Big Bad Bill, Audie, and Hansel, while Zaffy and Poppet have a snowball fight. The first page of this issue is an editor's note saying what will be in the issue, along with an adorable picture of Poppet. Next is a Dear Poppet segment. First is 10-year-old Abby, who sent in rainbow looms she had learned to make from Poppet magazine. For sending these in, she won an iTunes gift card. Next is a little girl named Rosie, who made her own editor's note for her dream issue of Poppet magazine. It reads, "Hello gang, Zaffy's gone a bit manic because this is the tech issue. Flick through Zaffy's e-diary and make robot gingerbread. Go on, log in, and get started. Cog, I would have loved a tech issue." Next is Poppet answering some real questions, like how old is she? She declines to answer. What's the best thing about working at the crib? Taking care of the baby moshlings, except when it isn't. What are her hobbies? Everything. What's her favorite moshling? Obviously Mr. Snoodle. When's her birthday? Well, because of the readers, it feels like every day is her birthday. Sorry, Poppet, but these are nothing. I knew all of these when the magazine was coming out. I know I was a Moshi super fan, but really? Next is a coloring page where you get to color in Poppet and Serena's hats. And here's some colored in ones that the fans sent in at the time. The next page is one of those "What kind of friend are you?" quizzes. I'll leave the page up for a minute so you can do this yourself if you want, but let me know what you got in the comments. I got mostly purple, which makes me a totally chilled chum. I kind of mentioned this earlier, but there's a section in the magazine dedicated to rainbow loom tutorials. And I know I said I wouldn't mention anything that wasn't directly related to the Poppeteers, but rainbow looms were so popular when I was a kid. It's just nice to see them and remember them this way. Next is something that's aged. Zaffy talking about electric scooters. You have to understand, this was 11 years ago. Electric scooters were a pretty new thing back then and weren't a regular annoyance to most people or considered dangerous yet. I also love this picture of Zaffy riding a scooter. She's so cute. We have another sort of quiz thing, this time a pet planner. I will once again leave this up on screen for you to fill out and comment about if you want. But I got cat, which makes perfect sense for me. There's a page about animals who live in polar places, which isn't really Poppeteer related, but I'm realizing I haven't had a lot to talk about with this issue because I've been avoiding the non-Poppet stuff. They were really phasing the Poppeteers out at this point. But we do have one final page about them, a Tales from the Crib section. It's another blog post styled page, this time looking back at the previous year of Poppet magazine. Poppet mentions her favorite issue was the BFF one. But that's about it for new info. That's the end of Poppet magazine, the Poppeteers. But somehow not the end of Baby Moshlings, because they were repurposed years later for the Moshi Sleep app. Moshi Sleep is the current generation of Moshi Monsters that's an app of sleep stories featuring Moshi characters. I'm honestly a fan and user of this app, even as an adult. These sleep stories knock me out. But I plan on making a video all about Moshi Sleep eventually, so I won't go too into that here. Just know Baby Moshlings made a return through Moshi Sleep's lullabies. And since that's the last magazine, I guess this video is over. I had something else to say, but every time I try to record it, something goes wrong. So I'm giving up. Thanks for watching. Bye.